Time now for the markets with Leighton. And Leighton, catfish supplies are down, but prices are up.
That's right, artist. Economist John Michael Riley will have some analysis of this subject in a moment. Also ahead, U.S. chicken production was up in March. World cotton prices skid at midweek as the soybean supply and demand balance sheet may change. We begin on the livestock side. In the poultry segment, the government says that heavier live weights and increased slaughter levels combined to bump up chicken production in the United States last month. March production was up 5% compared to 1 year ago. The USDA report also indicates that live weight was up 4% for chicken during the month compared to 2010. The average live weight of all chicken processed in the U.S. in March was 5 3/4 pounds. That's 2% heavier than March a year ago. As we reported here last week, there is less farm-raised catfish in the pipeline these days, but pond bank prices are higher for producers. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley provided some analysis about aquaculture late Thursday morning. John Michael, you were sharing with me, even the mainstream media has got the attention of the catfish situation. South sings the catfish blues earlier in April. Prices were actually on the rise prior to we got into 2011, right? Even in 2010.
That's right. They were gradually increasing as we moved out of 2010. They've continued that pace here in 2011. Just look at the past 3 months, January, February, March. The average price that we're looking at, the farm gate price, is right at 98 cents. So somewhat of a relief for our catfish farmers here in the state and across the South.
But as you described it, this is kind of putting pressure on another facet of the industry, the restaurants, the food service, because they're having to pay more, and then it comes up to the question, how much pressure can the market bear, so to speak? That's
the 600-pound gorilla in the room. You look at, we've had a huge reduction in water acres, 13% just from 2010 versus 2009 across Mississippi, and the same number across the U.S. So you've got a reduction in supply that's taking place, and the question mark is demand. We've seen processor sales shrink, and that's hitting the restaurants that are trying to procure this catfish. They're starting to have some trouble getting their hands on it, and that's leading to higher prices at the processor level. The question is, do the menu prices at the restaurants change? I've seen it take place here in Starkville, and was down at Long's in Enterprise, Mississippi a week and a half ago, and they said they're going to eventually have to increase those prices as well. So the question is, will demand be able to handle that price increase?
All right, let's go back to the source supply here for a moment. Water acres in Mississippi. Do we expect that to stabilize? Do you see we're kind of at a plateau now?
Off the cuff, yeah, I think so. The question is, if these prices don't continue to increase, as feed prices increase, then I think we're going to continue to see a reduction. But as long as we've got catfish prices at the farm competing with the feed prices, the main input costs there, I think the producers can handle it and can stay in business. But again, that's the big if.
But you mentioned feed costs. That is not likely to change. That portion of this equation when we talk about the feed, the different ingredients that go into catfish feed.
It's been on the increase, up about 20%. April 2010 it hit a low point, and it's been on the rise ever since. And again, it's not looking very good. And as we start thinking about what that price is going to continue to do throughout 2011 and even future months, I think it's going to continue to increase as well. So we need catfish prices to at least maintain some strength.
Looking at the beef sector in the markets now, feeder cattle futures posted a strong rebound on Wednesday afternoon. Drovers Cattle Network attributes that development to a combination of lower corn futures and sharply higher live cattle futures. Cattle Network advises wild price swings could be coming as traders try to decipher the effects of outside market influences. Next up, a livestock-related trivia quiz to end 1 month and begin another. Here it is. How many goats are there in Mississippi? That's the question this week. The answer is 19,000 or 25,000, 31,000 or 42,000 goats. We'll have that answer here shortly. World cotton prices as measured by the Cotlook A index recorded the biggest one-day break in history on Wednesday. Heavy pressure on international values amid a lack of physical demand for cotton contributed to what DTN described as panic selling in the cotton futures. Even before Wednesday, analyst Jamie Kohaki had advised getting more aggressive on making new crop sales of cotton.
I like selling about the 10 to 15 cent rally. The last 2 weeks in the old crop, July, we've lost $30.
Right.
We had a triple top at 198 about 2 weeks ago, and we've just followed a bed since then. Exports are very slow. The weak dollar hasn't helped out much at all. I think you saw the old crop July up at 180 on a short covering rally. Same thing with the D, sell 10 to 50 or 10 cent to 15 cent rally there.
Turning to soybeans, there is some discussion around the country that planting delays could have a dramatic effect on the bean sector. DTN reports there's a chance that more soybean acres could be planted if it becomes too late to plant corn and other spring crops such as wheat. Demand is also said to be a factor, especially if China curtails the amount of U.S. beans that it normally purchases. Analysts say that if these situations do happen, the soybean supply-demand balance sheet will have a different look. Well, there's no rebound for wheat to talk about this week. Wheat futures tumbled on Wednesday afternoon. Analysts at Dow Jones Newswire say it was a result of investors reducing risk exposure, along with weather conditions that should ease stress to crops in the U.S. and Europe. Wheat for July delivery ended down 4.1% at the Chicago Board of Trade Wednesday. We conclude the markets with the answer to our goat-related trivia quiz that we posed. C is the correct choice. There are 28,000 meat goats in Mississippi, along with 3,000 milk goats. That makes for a grand total of 31,000.